Welcome to what will become a regular podcast series in 2020 called Ben's Urban Geography. My name is Ben and I'm an urban geographer. So today, what has happened after doing some initial streamings of Cities Skylines and urban geography and trying to blend the two together is that we're finding that we're getting two separate audiences. The Twitch stream, which is the live stream, is just your casual audience. We just chat about everything and anything, including urban geography or just what's going on around the world. The podcasts are devolving more in using City Skylines in the background. It's evolving more into actual urban geography matches that are happening here in my home in Auckland as well as nationally and overseas. Now, I have covered in previous streams things such as urban geography itself, population forecasts. I was going to do a podcast on the port relocation efforts again, but I'm finding that doing these haphazardly means there's no flow, there's no so-called consistency, there's no story being told by chapter. And if you're trying to find out where I am with the story or a specific story, it's going to be slightly hard. So today we'll just do a brief introduction on myself and what I'm going to look at 2020 with the podcasts and where Twitch will also go from 2020 as well. Just to put out there, I am an independent or freelance urban geographer. I am not associated with any political party or public sector organisation here in New Zealand or overseas. So I can state categorically there is no conflicts of interest. If conflicts of interest do arise while podcasting and streaming due to contract or employment work, they'll be declared at the time. So let's get going on a bit of an introduction to myself and where I want to take these podcasts and Twitch streams into 2020 and beyond. So at the moment we've just come into my usual city at the moment, which is Grand Manukau Leighton Cities. I've narrowed in on Leighton City and narrowed it in on the 22 bus, which serves the primary busway. So we'll just zoom into him. It's technically following another bus, and we will get underway. So this bus goes from Leighton City Centre to the Manukau City Centre via busway rather than using rail, although there is heavy metro rail available. So for the point of this stream, we'll just be following this bus around. So happy driving. It's currently as that moment 4:45 in the morning, Friday. So yeah, my name is Ben and I'm qualified with a Bachelor of Arts in Geography and Political Studies, specifically niching out to urban geography, which is the spatial development of towns and cities, variations of between said cities and the variations within those cities, and in politics it's mainly around public policy, which ties back into urban geography quite well, especially on planning, design and engineering. So that's what I am qualified as, and trade-wise, as I said, I'm a freelance urban geographer, so I engage in spatial planning, micro level, macro level urban design, particularly around urban renewal projects. I can also do research and analysis, urban geography-wise, on city or even transport projects, and from time to time can end up doing transport planning as well. Experience has including advocacy and storytelling with the Auckland Plan 2012, Auckland Plan 2050, the current iteration of the Unitary Plan, the Manukau Urban Renewal Regime, and continued advocacy with the airport to Botany Transit as Stage 1 is now being built and Stage 2 is set down for beyond 2021. So that's my experience, just going into extracurricular vitae. I'm also things like pro-nuclear power where it's applicable as a low carbon source, as well as mixing that with green hydrogen, hydropower and geothermal, so your low carbon sources. I am based here in South Auckland, or Southern Auckland, which is Auckland's largest and fastest growing sub-region. Residential-wise, based in Papakura. Work-wise, typically based in Manukau City Centre, which is the core of Southern Auckland itself. Again, as I said, I am not tied or affiliated with any political party or public sector organisation. So totally independent, totally freelance. So why urban geography and why Cities Skylines as a tool? This might as well be considered part one of my regular podcast series that I'll probably do fortnightly or weekly depending how it goes, which will be done on Tuesday after my Monday Twitch streams. Geography is always fascinating, particularly human geography and urban geography. One of my experiences is with the world is that we're building nice big physical monoliths that have no reality or attachment to the human geographies of the world. So that's one, when doing urban design research analysis, that's where that comes into play. Also like dabbling, as you can see at the moment on the screen for this podcast, like to dabble in city building both right up at macro level and will come down at micro level. So that's if it's urban renewal, like our Manukau, that's spatial planning down at micro level because it's dealing with, in this case, a metropolitan centre, but it can extend right out into full-blown city building, whether it's doing a massive greenfield area like the Southern Auckland greenfield areas from Juri to Pukekohe. So it can go right to sub-region, which is all the Southern Auckland, so it's greenfield and brownfield. And on a rare cases, but can be done, it can go right out to city region itself, although those ones are quite rare because it is quite rare to build cities from scratch these days. So that's where the urban geography side comes in. On the public policy side of the ledger, things like the Port of Auckland, pros and cons in that, the urban and technically the industrial geographies that are affected with it, given any move of the port, north or south, north not, it looks like we've got an auto, influences the urban geographies quite heavily. So that's going to influence spatial planning, that's going to influence urban geography, so the spatial developments of the towns and cities. It's going to definitely affect city building in Southern Auckland and the northern Waikato and Tauranga, where the port's naturally going to shift despite what some, how can I put it, lobbyists and those with vested interests might think going north. Can anyone say conflict of interest? Can anyone say Gotham City and Don Falcone and Don Maroney? Not naming any real names here in New Zealand. So those aspects come around to it. But if I had a favourite to do, despite the fact things I do not do is micro level urban designing right down to which becomes landscape architecture. I don't touch that. I do touch policy planning as well as academic planning, which is technically the top tier. So academic at the top, policy in the middle, and consenting underneath. I do not do consenting. Well, I can do, but it's extremely rare. So I don't do consenting planning, both Resource Management Act consenting or building consenting. So I don't do that either. I also don't do transport engineering because I'm not a qualified engineer, and transport planning will usually be done in tandem with other planners and engineers. So as you can see, as we're continuing down the busway, making our way to the city centre. This is the first time I've had in 4 years of building a busway. I just mainly wanted to try this out to see how it works. Usually metro rail and heavy rail deals with us, but I just wanted to see how a busway goes for the first time. And I figure it's coming up to 5 o'clock in the morning, so rush hour is slowly going to get underway shortly. So we'll just keep an eye on the traffic. So yeah, that's where I am as an urban geographer. As I said, do I have a favourite of all the things? Yes, I do. And that's usually, it's 3 aspects for you, although one is technically not done in New Zealand because of our policies, right or wrong. So the first one is flat out city building, typically at sub